Hey, what's up, people? Piz out here, and this is a box, as you can plainly see. And what I'm going to perform for you guys is an unboxing and an in-depth review of the contents inside this box. And as you can see, this box comes from Shout Factory. Great stuff inside from Shout Factory. Actually, it's something that I pre-ordered from Scream Factory, a movie that I'm really excited to see. Actually, a movie that I've seen several times before, but this is the director's cut of the movie. So without further ado, I'll go ahead, pop this open, and we'll take a look at what's inside together. Take a cut there. Oh, there it is. Ooh. It's a nice sound, like fingers on a chalkboard. But there it is. The NIGHTBREED Director's Cut Limited Edition, a new release to fear the night. This is the director's cut, the theatrical cut, and then there's a little booklet inside there. But yeah, there is special features. For the first time on home video, you can experience Clive Barker's original director's cut of NIGHTBREED with over 40 minutes of new footage, all mastered in high definition from the original camera negative. This limited edition 3-disc set includes the theatrical cut on Blu-ray for the first time and a bonus disc of additional extras. Cool. Special features: we've got a new transfer in high definition, new director's cut with over 40 minutes of new footage, mastered in high definition from the original camera negative, introduction by writer-director Clive Barker, audio commentary with restoration producer Mark Allen Miller, and more new interviews with actors Craig Sheffer and Bobby, Doug Bradley, Hugh Ross, Simon Bamford, and Christine McCorkindale, special makeup effects artist Paul Jones, and action unit director Andy Armstrong, theatrical trailer, deleted scenes, matte painting tests, and more. This is number 2,503 of 10,000. Alright, very, very cool. And I think I have a poster inside as well. Let me double check something really quick. I believe I have a poster here. I do. Let's get it out, take a look at it. Let's move this aside for now. And oh, wow, cool. And that's bigger than my camera, or what my camera can see, but there is the poster. Very cool cover art there, very cool poster design, very cool artwork. Try and get it all in for you guys. Yeah, very, very cool. There, NIGHTBREED, the director's cut. Yes, very, very cool. Very, very cool. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, very, very cool. Very, very cool poster. Awesome. Awesome stuff. Now, let's pop this baby open. Take a look at what is inside of it. Let's see if my jagged fingernail can do the trick. Pop this sucker open. Nope. Have to very carefully cut it with my knife. Cool. There's some cool stuff there. Some symbols. Very, very cool feel here on this set. There's NIGHTBREED 3-disc set, director's cut. Very, very cool. Let's go ahead, look inside, see what all we have. Here is NIGHTBREED, the theatrical cut on Blu-ray. Here is the Director's Cut Limited Edition on Blu-ray. 2 discs. Looks like we got a reversible sleeve there as well. Total film, one of the greatest extended cuts of all time. Cool. So we got those guys. And we've got a booklet. NIGHTBREED. NIGHTBREED, the storied story. Cool. Nice little write-up about the movie, it appears. Got some pictures. There's Boone, Laurie, Decker, Baphomet. Cool, some posters. Yeah, cool stuff here. Uh-oh. May have to edit that out. A little bit of nudity there. Yeah, cool. Some cool stuff there. Yeah, very, very cool. Very, very cool. So that is the NIGHTBREED, the limited edition director's cut with all the cool stuff there. Got a cool booklet with some cool stuff in it. The 2-disc director's cut limited edition and the theatrical cut on Blu-ray. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch the new director's cut and I'm going to tell you guys what I think of it. Baphomet, not Baphomet. It's pronounced Baphomet. Before anybody starts freaking out in the comment section, Baphomet. So NIGHTBREED, the director's cut, the limited edition version. A lot to go over here, a lot to sink our teeth into, a lot to discuss. This isn't going to be a traditional review of NIGHTBREED in any incarnation, the director's cut or the theatrical version. I wish I had done a review, a standalone review of the theatrical version of NIGHTBREED, because I've always been a fan of NIGHTBREED. I've always liked NIGHTBREED. From the first time that I saw it on VHS way back when, I've always liked the movie. I wish I'd done a review of it now, considering that I've seen the director's cut of the movie. But kind of like how Clive Barker, you know, in Hellraiser. Hellraiser was a fresh, grisly breath of air that came along for horror in, you know, the 80s. And NIGHTBREED was the same thing I felt. It was just different. It was very different, very unique. And I always liked the movie. I loved the way the creatures looked in the movie. Clive Barker has this way of making grisly, ghastly characters who, despite being grisly and ghastly, are they're alluring in a strange way. They're arousing in a strange way. He knows how to touch on, you know, certain taboos to just, you know, to kind of make you uncomfortable, yet your attention is piqued. You're uncomfortable, but you're very interested in what's going on. And NIGHTBREED to me was like a multi-genre sort of madhouse kind of movie. You've got, you know, the romance elements, the love story, you've got slasher elements, thriller elements, you've got, you know, monster movie elements, you've got, you know, the monsters in the movie, the NIGHTBREED themselves are the good guys. And the real monsters in the movie, the bad guys of the film, are humanity, mankind. And I always really liked that. So when I first heard word of a alternate version of NIGHTBREED making the rounds, being shown at horror conventions and here and there, called the Cabal Cut, I was really interested. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it to any of those screenings, but I definitely kept my eyes peeled for any kind of, you know, official release of this alternate version. Then about a year and a half ago, Scream Factory announced that they were releasing it, and they initially said they announced that they were releasing the Cabal Cut. Now, I'm not sure if they were actually releasing that version of the movie, or if they were just kind of confused. But later they changed it to the director's cut. So I was definitely very, very interested, pre-ordered it, have really looked forward to checking out this cut of the movie for a very, very long time. And make no mistake, if you saw the Cabal cut, if you were one of those people who were lucky enough to see, screening of the Cabal cut, this is not the Cabal cut. There are 3 different versions of NIGHTBREED out there. The director's cut, the Cabal cut, and now, the theatrical version, the Cabal cut, and now the director's cut of the movie. And when I first heard they announced it as there is 45 minutes of additional footage, of new footage, but the movie is only 20 minutes longer. So what? So I kind of, ostensibly, that discrepancy led me to read a little closer. And basically we've got 45 minutes of new footage that we've never seen before. But they've taken out some of the footage from the theatrical version. That's how it's 20 minutes longer, but there's 45 minutes of new never before seen footage in the film. And the thing about the director's cut versus the theatrical version is they are 2 very, very different movies. Tonally, pace, as far as just, they feel like very, very different movies. And when I was watching this, it made me think of Halloween 6, the producer's cut, which of course was Scream Factory's last release that I did a big, unpackaging and in-depth review as I plan to do with this release. And it's a very divisive movie, Halloween 6 and Halloween 6, the producer's cut. There's people who prefer the producer's cut, there's people who prefer the theatrical version, and I can totally understand why. There's going to be people who prefer the director's cut of NIGHTBREED, and there's going to be people who prefer the theatrical version. And I can totally understand and totally support your preference for either one. I totally can. I can totally understand why you would prefer the theatrical version over the director's cut, and I can totally understand why you would prefer the director's cut over the theatrical version, because they're 2 different movies. They're very different movies. So it depends on what kind of movie you want to see. If you want just a monster movie with lots of blood and, slashing and, something that's very concise and 90 minutes and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, that theatrical version is going to be for you. If you want something much longer, much more epic feeling, something that's got a lot more heart and soul, then you're going to like the director's cut of NIGHTBREED. The movie begins with a very nice introduction by Clive Barker and Mark Allen Miller, where they talk about finding the pieces to put, the definitive version of NIGHTBREED together. It turns out that after a lot of detective work, a lot of investigative work, that a lot of the original elements from, Clive Barker's director's version of NIGHTBREED were really located right under his own nose in his own storage facility. They were on VHS tapes. They were badly degraded VHS tapes. But that was where they found this footage, and they talk about the process of of the Cabal cut and screening it, and of finally having the ability now to let fans see Clive Barker's definitive version of NIGHTBREED, and how happy they were about that. And it was very, very cool hearing them talk about the film, especially Clive Barker talk about it. And there's a very nice sort of afterword at the end of the film from Clive Barker as well, thanking all the fans for for making this release happen. So that was very, very cool. The first act and the final act of the movie are really the areas of the film with the most sort of different elements. And the first act of the movie, there's a lot more sort of character-y stuff in the movie. And I can kind of understand why some of it was removed, because it doesn't necessarily add anything to anything, to be honest. There's a sequence where Ann Bobby's character, we see that she is, and I don't think in the theatrical version they sort of specify what her occupation is or not, but we see here that she's a singer. She's a singer in a club, and we actually get to see her perform a musical number in the movie. It's pretty poorly lip-synced, and really, like I said, does nothing for the movie aside from, you know, we know that her character is a singer. So I can understand why that part was removed. There's another sequence where Boone has been, he's been given, Decker's given him the medication that he thinks is lithium that's really LSD, and he's tripping out, and he goes to his apartment, and he has these visions of himself making love to Ann Bobby's character, and maybe there's some symbolism in that sequence that I didn't quite pick up on, but it just seemed like that whole sequence was just to further give proof to the fact that Boone is having a really bad trip. And then of course they cut to the scene where he's like hit by a truck, he's in the hospital, and the doctor goes, "Hey man, you're having a really bad trip." I think that's really all you needed. That's all we needed to know to realize whatever those pills were that Decker gave him, they weren't they weren't prescription. So yeah, there's a lot of elements in the director's cut that I can kind of understand why Morgan Creek wanted them removed. They do kind of slow the movie down, and I don't think they don't necessarily propel the plot. They don't necessarily build on the characters or their love story. There are some additional sequences that do sort of bolster the romantic elements in the movie, the love story elements of the movie, and those are perfectly fine. But I can kind of understand why some of those sequences were removed. The last act of the movie is very, very different in the director's cut. We've got a lot more creatures. We've got a lot more, NIGHTBREED. We've got, a longer sort of battle sequence. And we've got a very, very different ending. I like the theatrical ending of NIGHTBREED. I thought that was a cool way to end it. The theatrical version, and I really don't want to give too much away about it, it's a lot different. It's almost Romeo and Juliet-ish, kind of. But yeah, very, very much more of a romantic ending than the theatrical version, which is fine. I appreciate both endings. I think I like the theatrical version's ending a little bit better, but I can appreciate both. Definitely a much different ending to NIGHTBREED in the director's cut. If you noticed in the theatrical version, Doug Bradley's character, there was actually his voice was ADR'd out by another actor doing a German accent. So Doug Bradley's voice is back in the director's cut of the movie. There are a couple of sequences that I noticed from the theatrical version, not in this cut of the movie. I missed them because I remembered them. I don't think they really did anything, for the movie as well. So I understand why they were removed for the director's cut. I kind of understand why some of the sequences in the director's cut were removed for the theatrical version. Again, it kind of, Morgan Creek wanted a monster movie. And, this is more than a monster movie. They wanted a simple monster movie. This is a lot more than a monster movie. This is a monster movie plus. It's more, an artfully done monster movie. Put it that way. But yeah, it's a really interesting. It's really interesting to finally see this version of the movie after having seen, the regular theatrical cut for so many years, and after, I like the theatrical version of the movie, and I like the director's cut version of the movie. Which is better? Again, I mean, it's very subjective. It's very subjective. It depends on kind of what mood you're in. If you're in the mood for just a monster movie, get the theatrical version. If you're in the mood for something with a little more heart and soul, get NIGHTBREED, the director's cut. As far as special features are concerned, it's loaded. It's absolutely loaded. Of course, this is the limited edition version. This is the 3-disc version with the theatrical version thrown in. If you just bought the standalone, just the director's cut, just the 1-disc, these are the special features that you get with both editions. We get an hour and 12-minute long sort of making of featurette called The Tribes of the Moon, the making of NIGHTBREED. And yes, I did take notes. We have interviews on here with Craig Sheffer, with Ann Bobby, Doug Bradley, Simon Bamford, Hugh Ross, and Christine McCorkindale. Very, very in-depth, very, very nice sort of making of featurette, talking to the actors, talking about how Simon Bamford and Clive Barker, they were part of, Clive Barker's, Doug Bradley and Simon Bamford, they were part of Clive Barker's theater group back in the day. Talk about how they kind of met Clive Barker. They talked to Craig Sheffer about how he was cast, and Bobby how she was cast in the film. Christine McCorkindale, who of course played the creature with quills all over her, talks about all the makeup that she had to go through, stuff like that. Hugh Ross, who played the fella, I think his name was Narcissus, who cuts his scalp off. Talked to him about the makeup process and how much fun he had playing that character. Really in depth, really in depth. Talk about, they talk about working with Clive Barker. They talk about working with David Cronenberg as an actor. They talk about, the challenges of, when they realized, that the executive producers were on the set, the suits were on the set from the studio, and things were kind of changing, and they talked about the reshoots. They talked about seeing the theatrical version and being like, well, wait a minute, this wasn't the movie that we kind of shot. So very cool stuff. Very cool stuff there. Very in depth, a lot of info. Definitely something you want to watch if you are a NIGHTBREED fan. We also have Making Monsters, which is a 42-minute interview with Bob Keane, Martin Mercer, and Paul Jones, who of course were special makeup effects guys on the film. They discuss creating the monsters, how Bob Keane really sort of worked, with Clive Barker to really sort of not just create monsters, but create monsters with, as he said, a social history, with kind of an evolution. So that was really cool. They talk about creating the Berserkers. One of the makeup effects guys' jobs was to just create phalluses for the Berserkers. So that was his one of his gigs on the movie. Of course, they also talk about the studio interference and how the studio wanted to turn the movie more into a blood and gore slasher movie, as opposed to the movie that they all really wanted to make, and how sort of, disappointed they were, how heartbroken they really were to see that, that was the kind of movie that they wanted. But yeah, another really lengthy, lot of info, really cool featurette. Again, if you're a fan of NIGHTBREED, you're definitely going to want to check that out. Lots of cool info in there. Then we have a 20-minute interview with Andrew Armstrong, who was the second unit director, called Firefights and Stunts. They talk about him doing the second unit directing, shooting a lot of the fight sequences, a lot of the action sequences, the stunt stuff like that. 20 minutes, again, lots of information, lots of cool stuff to kind of sink your teeth into, goings on behind the scenes of the film. Again, if you're if you're a NIGHTBREED fan, you're gonna like this featurette. The bonus disc, which comes only in the limited edition version of NIGHTBREED, we get a lot of deleted scenes. We've got a lot of deleted and alternative scenes. Some of them are pretty rough. I think those were probably sequences that were just in the Cabal cut of the movie and are not in the theatrical or the director's cut of the movie. But still, a lot of deleted scenes, a lot of alternate scenes and sequences. Really interesting seeing that. We also have Monster Prosthetics Masterclass, which is an 11-minute interview with Bob Keane, in which he discusses in detail, in great detail, you know, the process of making prosthetic makeups, which was actually pretty cool. We have an interview with Mark Goldblatt called Cutting Compromise, about a 13.5-minute interview with him. He was actually the editor brought in to re-edit the movie. He had edited like Commando, Terminator, action type movies, which the studio wanted, you know, a more sort of, you know, quickly paced kind of monster movie instead of an epic kind of monster movie, which is what they got with the director's cut. But really nice interview with him. He even kind of admits, you know, I may have cut a little too much out of the movie. I might have made it a little too one-dimensional in editing it. Yeah, really nice interview with him. We've got a 5-minute featurette called The Painted Landscape, the concept art of Ralph McQuarrie. Basically, it's a look at all the concept art and original poster designs that he did for the film. He did a really cool original poster design for the movie, which he had done poster art for like the Star Wars films. He did, his very first job was he did the Legend of Boggy Creek poster, which is a really awesome poster. That was a cool little 5-minute featurette. We've got a 9-minute featurette about the matte paintings used in the movie, matte painting tests, which was pretty cool. We've got makeup tests, which is a few minutes in length. Just you know, again, makeup tests to see how the makeups are going to look on screen. We've got a 6.5-minute interview with Bob Keane where he talks about the stop motion, and they show some lost stop motion footage that wasn't in the film. Basically, he says, you know, we had a really big budget at one point, then they cut the budget in half. You know, he really liked stop motion animation, but they just really didn't have it in the budget to do a lot of it. And there's still a little bit of stop motion in the movie, but the vast majority of it never made it in. We've got an extended torture sequence, which is the it's just extended footage of the Nightbreed being tortured and killed, you know, many years ago. Kind of like, you know, instead of the Salem witch trials, it is the Nightbreed trials. We've got some rehearsal footage from the opening sequence of the film where the Nightbreed are running toward Midian, which is in Boone's dream. We get to see that with the characters outside of their costume, which was kind of cool. And we've got extensive still gallery. We've got trailer for the movie. We've got a commentary with Clive Barker and Mark Allen Miller, which I've not had a chance to sit down and watch just yet, but I'm sure is very cool, very informative. But yeah, that is it. Lots of stuff. If you're a Nightbreed fan, you're definitely going to want to pick this edition up. Loads and loads of special features, lots of cool stuff, lots of information, everything that you possibly could want to know about Nightbreed. And yeah, I think it's going to be really cool to see sort of, you know, the dialogue that this release opens up, because I think it will be divisive. I think it will be, you know, you will have your theatrical version camp and you will have your director's cut camp, and yeah, I think it'll open up an interesting dialogue among horror fans. But I'm really interested to hear what you guys think of the director's cut. If you've seen the director's cut of Nightbreed, if you bought this edition or just the one disc edition, please let me know what you thought of the director's cut of Nightbreed. Yeah, the picture and sound quality on this release is, of course, really great. The movie looks phenomenal in high definition, sounds phenomenal. Yeah, this is a solid, another solid release from Scream Factory. There's a shocker. But yeah, love the cover art. Love the this is a really high quality box. I mean, they are calling this a box set, and this is a really high quality box. So dig that. Dig the cover art. Of course, we got the reversible sleeves. So if you don't like this cover art, there's another cover art to choose from for the disc itself here. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I apologize. This was a little rambling of an in-depth look at the director's cut of Nightbreed. But again, let me know what you guys think of it. If you've seen the director's cut, which do you prefer? And until next time, you guys take it easy. Peace.